No one in here. And do we have all of our notes?
Yeah,
Are
and
they
maybe our
proper?
study boy can play us a song while we're waiting for people to arrive, since there's nobody in here.
Moderators. Do we have any mods in here tonight? Gonna need some troll hunters. Tonight we're gonna be talking about d4vd, of course.
David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Let's keep her name out there. She is the child of victim in this case, and whether this is actually a homicide or not still remains to be seen. Jury's still out on that. Haha, jury. No jury yet. No one charged yet. And actually, no one being named as a person of interest, as we are not sure at this point exactly. Hi, Rainbow. As we are not sure exactly what the charges are going to be in the end. And now, a little something from the other car crew.
Give us about 30 seconds of intro music. Oh, California City.
Mm-hmm.
The boys.
Yeah. Orrin Orson, also known as Classic and Sincere. They were born Classic and Sincere. They were basically trafficked by Child Protective Service, stolen from their biological parents, and illegally put up for adoption to a pair of evil monsters who took the lives of these toddlers. And while these monsters are currently in prison, they still have not revealed what they did with those sweet little babies, and we don't know where their remains are.
Yeah, freaking guy.
Orrin Orson was a long time ago.
But yeah, they were trafficked by CPS for sure.
Trafficked by the system
Yep.
that was put in place to protect them.
Yeah, and definitely was not working. Anyhow, tonight we'll be talking about d4vd, also known as David, and just to make things easier on myself, I will be referring to him as David through this, and we will definitely keep Celeste Rivas Hernandez's name out there, as she is the victim, the child who was found in the frunk of Star David's Tesla. Now let's get into it.
Let's go. Do you think it's a trafficking?
I think essentially Celeste was trafficked, especially since she has moved across state lines with David, or in the company of David, as people have brought forward images of her at David's concert in Maryland, and she was in the company of David's younger brother Caleb, and they were behind the scenes, backstage, etc. And so, she has been moved across state lines, and she is a child. And coming out in the news today, Josh Marshall, who is David's manager, he has come forward claiming that he had no idea about, or Josh Marshall, excuse me, I don't know what I said, but his name is Josh Marshall, and he claims he has zero knowledge of David and Celeste being a couple, of Celeste being underage, or anything to do with the parties or anything at David's house. He claims that orangey red Tesla that was removed from the house when the lease was broken, and all of David's possessions were being removed from the house by both moving companies and part of David's entourage wearing masks pulled up to just their eyes. Well, Josh Marshall claims that that's not his Tesla and that he's not affiliated with that house at all. All he did was rent it for David. And I'm guessing maybe David was too young or something to rent it, because David was 19 at the time that the home was rented.
Halle Berry's house.
It's formerly Halle Berry's house. It is a very expensive and nice home.
When Halle Berry owned it, it
In
was
the
a
Hollywood Hills.
$5.9 million house.
Yeah, and had 3 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms, but 4,300 square feet of living space. And neighbors are stating that it was indeed a party house, that David was having ragers there all the time, lots of loud music and people coming and going. The landlord of that house states that there are security cameras in place at the entrance and exits of the house, so they should have footage of everyone that came or left that house. But it appears that in this case there is no shortage of suspects, and that David may or may not be involved in this, and there's several different things that could have happened and several different types of charges that could be brought.
Different crimes. This is why they haven't jumped right ahead and arrested this man, because they're not sure how she was demised.
Yeah, they're not sure how she was demised at this point. They're awaiting toxicology, obviously, to find out whether this was an overdose or anything. But we know there's different charges that would happen with an overdose also, especially the overdose of a minor.
We do have answers to one big question coming up here in a little while.
Well, we can just tackle that one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and tackle that one right now.
Make them wait.
There were lots of rumors stating that, and we'll repeat it again later for people that maybe didn't hear it at the beginning or something, and to jump in the middle of this. But anyway, there were lots of rumors online and
From David himself.
and from David himself that Celeste was expecting, but the medical examiner's report states that Celeste has never been pregnant.
Ever.
She has never ever been pregnant.
Well,
So that also puts to rest the rumors that there were the remains of a fetus found near David's house and stuff that was Celeste's. And so that is all put to rest. Not true. And in case you didn't know, today was National Coffee Day, so I might seem a bit more chitter-chattery than usual because I have been rather enjoying
all
National
day
Coffee Day. All day coffee, free coffee everywhere. Coffee is a magical drink. The magic beans and water is life, and you mix those magic beans and the water of life together, and you get a magical brew.
Why is there only one flyer, one post by the mom?
Oh, I'll get right into that.
That's
too.
why I lean up here on the screen so I can read your comments. That's why I look like this.
Yeah, and and I'm sitting back from the camera because I will get totally lost because I have ADHD.
Don't let
really
her read
bad,
the comments.
and so if I start
Never.
reading the comments, then it's all over. Anyway, the reason why there was so little to be heard from Celeste's mom and such is that Celeste's mom does not speak a bit of English. And the missing persons reports and stuff were made by a family friend, someone close to them, but someone that is bilingual. And Celeste's mom, not speaking any English, was not really able to do any of this, and probably a bit afraid of ICE and stuff. I'm not sure of her immigration status, but she doesn't speak English. She doesn't really trust the police or anything. So even TMZ worked as a go-between between her and the police. She spoke and gave her story to
Down there,
TMZ.
Charles?
I'm not sure, but of course, several of the people at TMZ are bilingual, well-educated people, and so they met with Celeste's mom, who gave her full story. Sorry about that. Who gave her full story and what was going on with her daughter, and then TMZ contacted the police and acted as a go-between for them, and then the police sent a bilingual officer to go speak with Celeste's mother also to get more of this case. And I think that might be part of how come in Lake Elsinore, where Celeste lived, where she was from, why there what is such a big difference, where some people are saying, oh, happy home life, happy kid, and no sign of any problems, and then there's law enforcement stating that they think it was a troubled home. Well, if there was communication issues, that would explain.
Well, I know she had a loving brother that was concerned.
Yes, her brother is very concerned. Her brother was coming forward long before she ended up in the trunk, and her family had been coming forward and trying to get her back.
We will
all
put
along.
the camera up higher.
And that's where something else comes into play once again with this Josh Marshall, the manager for David. He's, like I said, stating that he knew nothing about Celeste's age or anything like that, but coincidentally, this family friend who is being the go-between between the family and law enforcement when reporting the missing persons. The first time Celeste went missing in February, right before Valentine's Day, she wrote an email to David's manager, Josh Marshall. The family was aware that David was the star and this was who his manager was, and they did not want Celeste hanging out with David, or or of course leaving town with David. And they knew that she had left town with David. David had taken her in that Tesla and gone to Hollywood Hills. And so they emailed Josh Marshall and told him, this is a missing 13-year-old girl. She is with your client and we want her home. And the very next day, Celeste showed up at home, and that one was the time that she ran away and came back of her own free will. This is after contacting David's manager, who then claimed that he had no idea of any of this and that there had been no email, except there is proof of the emails. The police have copies of the emails, and SF Investigates interviewed the person who wrote the emails.
Don't freak out. It's too high.
Well,
it's too high.
And so, there's lots of proof that these emails did happen. The family was actively trying to get Celeste back. They knew where she was. And then the second time she ran away, they worked with, it got out to law enforcement through this family friend who speaks English. And Celeste was picked up down there in LA and brought back to Lake Elsinore by the police. And then it was the third time she ran away that she ran away and never returned home and ended up being in the trunk of the Tesla. And then comes more information, and that is that while she disappeared in 2024, the family knew where she was, and they wanted her back and tried to get her to come back, but she wasn't coming back. And they and her friends had contact with her up until the end of July of this year, and then all of a sudden no communication whatsoever. And coincidentally, July 26th of this year, David got an early jump start on his tour, his Withered tour, and he did some impromptu concerts prior to the official start, and he did those in the Bay Area, San Francisco, but that's still not impossible for him to have returned home or anything. And so he doesn't really have an alibi, because at first on paper, because of the concerts and because of his travels, it appeared like, oh, David couldn't have had anything to do with this. But, he's not ruled out either. And he's not being named a suspect at this time because law enforcement is not sure exactly what crimes have taken place. Obviously, there is the crime of having an improper relationship with a child and, taking a child across state lines and things like that. But they are investigating this as a homicide. Robbery homicide is who has the case and is investigating it, and are investigating the Tesla completely. But they are unsure at this time, until the medical examiner's report, the final report, comes out. They are unsure whether this is actually a homicide. They are just going to treat it as a homicide out of an abundance of caution, and because, the circumstances kind of send off some alarm bells in that direction. But, it would still be possible, pending toxicology reports, for it to have been accidental, or an accidental overdose or something like that. Could have
been accidental, and then she got carried out there and placed in the trunk, and then that wouldn't be a murder any longer.
Yeah, that wouldn't be...
different charges.
That wouldn't be a murder, but that would be abuse of a corpse, concealing a death, concealing a corpse, and whether she was dismembered or not, because we don't know that for sure. We know that she was not intact. We don't know if that means just decomposition, or if that means she was dismembered. And so that's also pending that final report.
And there was 50 pounds of missing Celeste.
Yeah, and there was 50 pounds of missing Celeste, as between her reported weight and the weight of her corpse. Yeah.
So she may have been dismembered.
Yeah, she may have been dismembered, or
another crime,
or bled out, or something like that, and then that would be another crime. That would be another crime, like of attempting to conceal maybe cause of death, and and then all of this is involving a child. So there would be what are those called?
What? I wasn't listening. What?
Well, I'm saying that all of these crimes that could possibly have taken place were perpetrated against a child, which gives a, and then I was trying to remember the word, an enhancer. It would be an enhancer.
Definitely.
And so they have to move with an abundance of caution, because they don't want to be arresting somebody for the wrong thing and then have it turn out that it's something else entirely different. And anyway, then looking at the background of this case and seeing that David, he got his start towards fame by being a Fortnite streamer, and he started talking to Celeste online when she was 10 or 11 years old, and that would make him like 15 or 16. And at first that doesn't seem, I mean, it's odd and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem like overly bad, because people of all ages play these multiplayer video games. But then it appears that their friendship gets closer, and then when she's 12, it gets to be flirty and boyfriend-girlfriend thing. And then when she's 13, he's got her running away to be with him in this rented house in Hollywood Hills, and this becomes a very ugly thing. And now, when she's found in his trunk, Celeste was obviously 14 when she lost her life, and David was 20. That is a 6-year age difference. That is way too much. And but then we come up with, besides that part, PDF file for sure. But then the child ends up deceased, and it's unclear how or who. And it turns out that with this big party visit, well, we know we can rule out Josh Marshall for that part of it, because it turns out that Josh Marshall, the manager of David, didn't live at that house, only rented it, might not have ever set foot inside that house. He is David's manager, but he's like a hands-off manager. He hasn't even had hardly any interactions with David, just, business on the, type it up on the computer, get him a rental.
Remote.
Yeah, he's remote, because it turns out that this manager actually lives in Florida with his wife and 3 kids. And so he's not hands-on at all. But of course, it seems to be quite obvious that when he got a message telling him that his client had a runaway 13-year-old in his company, that Josh got a hold of David and said, get that kid back to her house. But, they didn't message the manager again the next time, or maybe they did, because but police came and got her and took her home. And then the third time, nothing happened after Celeste ran away. And that could even be due to like burnout on the part of law enforcement, because often they become jaded with these cases, especially repeat runaways. They become jaded and they just think, oh, they're just going to run again or whatever, and they go and put that as not being a priority, which is not good. It's very bad, and I hope that they get more supports and stuff for the officers so they don't get this burnout, and so that they can continue to like look at things with fresh eyes and go, this is a 13-year-old child, 14-year-old child. The age itself just tells you there's no consent. The kid doesn't know what they're doing and needs to either be taken home, or if there are problems at home, needs to be placed somewhere where they are not under the influence of an adult that is using them for illicit purposes. Yeah, that'll be a word for it. And so that is one thing. And then getting back to Caleb, who is David's younger brother, there are a lot of rumors about Caleb right now stating that Caleb may be snitching on David, because Caleb has been talking to law enforcement. And so there's lots of rumors about what Caleb has been saying. We know that Caleb did not approve of the age difference between his older brother and his older brother's girlfriend. Don't know whether Caleb was interested in Celeste, who was closer to his age than to David's age. But it's possible that he was talking, and some people are claiming that Caleb has on other platforms stated that the songs that David wrote are definitely about Celeste and what happened to Celeste, and that people should be paying more attention to David's lyrics. And so
The lyrics were a confession, dude.
in some way, yeah, the lyrics are likely to be some sort of confession, but a confession to what? Did he do something to Celeste? Was he aware that someone else did something to Celeste? Did he find Celeste and then decide to conceal her death? Just a lot of stuff to think of there. And, was it foul play, or was it an accident? Was it an overdose?
Misadventure.
Death by misadventure. And then
They like to use that one a lot.
yeah. But then with the death by misadventure, let's just say it was death by misadventure, why not report the body? Why not, do something other than wrap her up in something of significance, according to police, wrapped in something special, then black plastic tarping,
I wonder what
and
it
then
was.
in the front.
What do you guys think he wrapped
So,
her in? Or,
yeah.
not David, but what do you think the person wrapped this child in? Comments, we're not scrolling.
And depending on what that object was, it could either place her death in the house, like if it was bedding from a specific bed that is missing some of its bedding, or whether it's something because of reverence for Celeste, something that indicates a relationship with her, to wrap her. Maybe she was like in a shroud. That it'll be interesting to have that come out, because it would be interesting. Yeah, I'm a weirdo who is always interested in motive. What makes the person who did this tick? Why did they do things the way they did? And the like. And also, I'm wondering about that black plastic tarping. Do people just automatically have black plastic tarping in the home? Or was that part of the home, was that there in the home for reasons? Was it just for party reasons? Was it there for innocent reasons? Or perhaps was it there for just in case something need to be disposed of?
Well, that would be all premeditated. That's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Which is what we cover on this channel.
Yeah, it is pretty
stuff.
dark, but it is also a possibility. Basically at this point in the case, anything is possible. And I'm just pleased as punch to find out, though, that Celeste has never been pregnant.
No Deutsch.
Because that would be, that would be just another level of sadness if she had been. Because for one, 14 is too young to be taking on that.
Yes, he was touring with a coffin, remember?
Yes, he was touring with a coffin. And
And a shirt covered in blood.
Yeah, and a shirt covered in blood.
It was all part of his
And
stage show, you know?
and some people said that his brother claimed that David talked about dismembering Celeste, and I don't know if it was like in the form of a fantasy or what exactly, but he said that certain songs, like the one about Celeste, and
Those are the neighbors' kids. Those are not mine.
and the ones when you're in an RV, your neighbors are pretty close and the walls are pretty thin, and yeah. But anyway, the songs written during his relationship with Celeste would have at least some bearing and some reflection on that. And
he did not write a lot of the songs 3 years ago. He wrote a good amount of these creepy songs back in April this year.
Yeah, a whole bunch of these creepy songs were written in April of this year, and so that to me would indicate that he was premeditating this.
His first song was in 2021 called Runaway?
No, his first song in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then and then his popular song "Romantic Homicide" was written during his relationship with Celeste. And in the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you,
dude.
Or Celeste, his unreleased song, with lyrics like, so this is what it's like to not need weed to get me high. I love it when you hold me when you cry. Just because, be my Valentine, I want to make Cupid suicidal. These are the kind of thoughts that cross my mind just because. And, I love you so much. I love you so much. And that's the chorus of the song. And then second verse, Darling, I would love to ease your mind, but you only open up when you get high. If I had the money, I would buy us time just to get by, just to stay high. Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed, oh Celeste. Afraid you'll only love me when undressed, but you look so damn gorgeous in that dress. Missing you so much makes me depressed, but I digress. I love you so much. And then the outro is, the music and I love you. And that was written around, it was released in, leaked or whatever in December, when he was also doing Discord lives where he had Celeste by his side and they were both, running the lives and stuff. But the song Celeste was written, I believe, I read that it was written around the time that she had run away the first time and gone back home because her family had contacted his manager.
Well, the parents couldn't exactly get up there from Lake Elsinore.
I know just
No.
enough German to know that the
And it would have been
wasn't
hard
really
for them
fucking
to
about
communicate
anything.
and such without speaking any English.
I know enough
And
German to know
then
what he was talking about.
say it back. When seasons change again and you get bored of me, I want you to let me know, but I can't let you go. Because I love you like I'm supposed to, but you don't say it back. You never say it back. So now I hate you, and I hope it breaks you. The very strong emotions, and sounds like rejection. And I've also heard that the female voice on these tracks is actually the actual real Celeste, the child Celeste. And those sounded like she was, like they were having a very tumultuous relationship. And then you got to remember that this is a 20-year-old guy trying to have a relationship with a 14-year-old child. And, I don't even want to think about that. I mean, 12, 13, 14, you have you have adult-ish emotions and drives and stuff, but you're too young to handle it, and you're mentally unable to handle that kind of stuff. And also, you are still very much a child and would probably be very much wanting your childish things and your child friends and stuff, and wouldn't really want to always be having this adult relationship. And meanwhile, this David guy, he's 20 years old, and he's obviously a creeper because he's been interested in this child who is 6 years younger than him. He's been obsessed with her for years. And some people say, oh, well, Celeste lied to him about her age, but he had to have known that she was quite a bit younger than him. And then no matter how much he thought he loved her, when he realized she was a child, he should have backed off and not pursued the relationship, or kept it at a friendship level, or at least kept it at a platonic level, and not
Platonic would have been good.
engaged in a sexual relationship with her when she was so much too young. And is this really love? Let me know where you'll find what you're looking for. Is this really love? You may have called my bluff, but you've been acting up. Hating you ain't enough. I just want back my love. You got somebody else to take my place. You did it the wrong way after all I did for you. You said that you never meant to hurt me, but baby, I know this is how it goes. And that just makes me wonder, did Celeste start having feelings for someone more appropriate in age?
What about the younger brother?
And yeah, and what if that was the younger brother? Just what would that do to this jealous person David appears to be? And and David talks in videos about his art and his music, saying that he's got this, he's created for his music an alter ego who is murderous and stuff. Well, what if that alter ego is really a part of David for reals? And what if that was true, and just how devastating would it be to his ego if Celeste were interested in his younger brother?
Oh, and then after the fact they team up because they're brothers and try to clean it up.
Yeah.
The little girl getting between them.
Yeah,
That
and
would be dark.
yeah, that would be very dark. And but brothers are brothers, and
Brothers
and
before you know what.
yeah, and usually blood is thicker than water, and that would be the priority, would be family. Plus you've got the fact that David is this rising star, potential money and fame and all those good things that people seem to seek. And if anything came out to put shade on David or have him end up getting locked away, that money train would stop. So not only would the brother fall in line, but so would anybody from the entourage, which also would happen if, say, for instance, the brother did this, or if a member of the entourage did this, because they would all band together to cover it in order to keep.
And there's another reason why no one's been arrested yet, because the police have so many people.
Yeah, there are so many possible suspects in this case, and there's also so many different crimes that could have been committed. Are we looking at an accidental death but then illegally covering it up? Are we looking at an on-purpose death and then illegally covering it up? Are we looking at one person doing an unaliving and also covering it all up on their own? Or are we looking at someone doing this and then calling in others to help? Or are we looking at a group of individuals who ended up having this young person deceased around them, and then they tried to cover it up? I mean, there is so much that could be involved in this. And we got somewhere in the middle. It's you doing things you're not supposed to do. You don't think that I would know the truth, but every day I see the way you move, and it's not like you. Like that, what? Is he describing that she's got a crush on somebody else and she's like floating around? Or is he noticing that maybe she's lost interest in him and she's moping around? Anyway, and it's not like you. I want to think you love me, but you never say the word. I gave you what you wanted and got nothing in return. I don't love you. I don't hate you. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't love you. I don't have to. I'm losing it a little. Somewhere in the middle. I just bought a hammer. I'm trying to fix you. What the heck? I just bought a hammer.
Dude.
And that reminds me of, a different case. Maybe we'll talk about that one.
Tonight?
That'll be our tonight one, which is Tyler Hadley with the hammer to the brain for his parents. Anyway, then we've got Where'd It Go Wrong? I don't really want your love no more, I swear, because I don't need it, and I don't mean to be conceited, but I'm the reason you're still breathing. Now, what if he decided that he didn't want her breathing anymore?
A hammer. And he put that in writing.
Yeah, he put that in writing, hammer. So I will be interested to find out what the cause of the demise is, and whether, because it will state, even if they couldn't state for sure that the hammer was the cause, it would at least show up and be in the notes for the autopsy, saying whether there were any fractures or anything like that. Anyway, you left me first? How ironic is it? Wait, how ironic is that when you left me first? It never made sense to me, falling deeper into jealousy, because I can't help the thought of you with someone else. I know the truth. I sound so stupid right now, but like I've been so selfish and I can't stop thinking about you and what I did. And how it's affecting like everything. Like I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I was like, And these two are two that could easily be either about a guy being in denial about what happened, or a guy who really doesn't know what happened and that his girlfriend is absent. This one is, where did you go? I told you I didn't know that a house don't mean that you got a home. How hard is it to live alone and having someone around, after having someone around, drowning in chemicals, pacing back and forth around my living room, drinking all the water in the swimming pool, praying that the chlorine can clean me too. Like, is that talking about having done something and needing to clean it up and then feeling like you can't get themselves clean afterwards? And where did you go? You're nothing but a memory. Oh, where did you go? I needed you next to me. Why am I still looking for an answer that will never come? Left me alone in an empty bed with a song you never sung. I just need a text or a call saying that you moved on. More direct to the heart, but you send me a card. No, I won't be alarmed. Just expected much more from someone that I gave it all for. So that sounds kind of like he thought she left him.
Hey, what's up, Cupcake?
And
you want to jump into the comments real quick?
And then friend again. Like I said, this whole thing started with David and a 10 or 11-year-old Celeste becoming friends when David was around 15 or 16. And then it goes, think we should settle down. That's what I told her. I should have been less bolder. She said, I'm not the one. I mean, you're not going to want to settle down when you're only 14 years old.
That's too young.
You're way too young. I used to be her everything, and now she doesn't answer me. I didn't ask for anything. I only want her next to me. She's got someone better, and I've got jealousy. Love me, hate me, whatever you're feeling, nothing changes. I don't want to be your friend again. I know you want to fight me, hurt me, whenever I'm healing. You're too dangerous. I don't want to be your friend again. So, very interesting, wouldn't you say? And then Ghost, which actually got my kiddo to write, I don't know if you can see it, it says, oh no, on the top of the page, because, he's a musician himself, and when he was going over this, he was just like, oh no. God knows it's true. I love you the most. But we both know what I have to do. Eyes looking right through me. Why? Why can't I hear your heartbeat? He might have you, but I've got your ghost. Yikes.
What are you reading?
That was the song Ghost by David. So, d4vd. And very telling lyrics, whether he turned out to be the one that is the reason why she ended up, this 14-year-old child ended up deceased in the frunk of his Tesla, remains to be seen. But I think these lyrics may tell a lot as to how come this all happened. At the very least, they point to the emotions involved in his improper, unsettling relationship with a child 6 years younger than him. And let's see, did I?
What's your question, Cupcake? Jump it in the comments right there. Somebody will answer you.
And so, yes, lots of information in this case, but nothing nailed down yet as to what actually was done to Celeste. All we know is that Celeste Rivas Hernandez, age 14, ended up deceased in the front of a Tesla, discarded, parked on the side of an alleyway, sitting in the sun for weeks. It's come about that it was definitely weeks that car sat there on that street, and likely, while we don't have the proof yet, but likely with Celeste in the front the entire time, because it wouldn't really make sense for her to be placed in the front while the vehicle was already out on the street. She must have already been in there when the vehicle was parked there. And
Hi, Kate.
several of the neighbors and people from the neighborhood have come forward stating that there was a smell near the car, but they thought it was like sewer smell, because there's also like openings to the sewer anyway, they just thought there was a sewer smell or something, and that might be why the CHP didn't mention a smell when they ticketed the car either. And they probably weren't there very long either, because CHP isn't the one that actually towed the vehicle. And then the tow guys might have noticed the smell there at the scene, but they wouldn't have thought much of it either, being that it could have been sewer, it could have been anything, and they just towed it. And it was not until the vehicle was sitting there on the top floor of the parking garage at the impound lot that the smell really became distinctively a deceased something, that they needed to get law enforcement to get over there and pop it open in order to find out what was going on. And and also even though this manager of David's has tried to say that he had no way of knowing, there was no clue whatsoever that David was having an inappropriate relationship with an underage child. Over on TMZ, they spoke to one of their interns, a Gen Zer named Aiden, who goes and hangs out in the night spots and stuff in order to get stories for TMZ. And he states that with his own eyeballs, he has seen Celeste with David, and that they were very much being a couple at the clubs. So, it's extremely, not a secret.
Wasn't
People
the
knew.
trunk partially opened when it got towed away? Did you see the video where it was being towed away? It looked like the trunk was partially opened on that car.
I wonder if that would be related to the damage they noted was, because the biggest dent was on the back, but the front, if it was popped open partway, they did state that there was damage to the front right, which I don't know if it's from sitting inside right side or from facing it right side, but there was damage, and there was damage in the wheel wells and such too.
And there could have been parts of her leaking out of that car.
Yeah.
Might make up for the missing 50 pounds of Celeste.
Yes.
Hey.
And, yeah. Nasty. But anyway, another thing was, a reddish orange Tesla was seen being towed from the house after it was searched by police and everything. After the manager decided to break the lease, the landlords were more than happy to break the lease, and so the moving men and David's entourage showed up to take things away, and it was seen on video that someone wearing a mask took a reddish orange Tesla out of the garage, and they drove it off, and its license plates were visible, and
Lives in
some
Florida.
people ran the plates and stated that it was registered to David's manager, but David's manager claims that that is not his Tesla, which he didn't say that he didn't buy it or it wasn't registered to him. He said it wasn't his Tesla, and that he lives in Florida with his wife and kids. It was also interesting that the statements distancing himself from David's relationship with Celeste were posted to TikTok rather than, to any official news agencies or anything like
On a
that.
very small channel as well.
Yeah, his channel is very small. He doesn't have very many viewers, and yet that's where he chose to make his statement. And then,
Hit 'em, mods.
let's see what else I was going to say about this. Yes, I have not yet gone in. Have you gone in to check the street cleaning schedule?
Yes, I worked on the street cleaning schedule today, and I kept putting in the address because it's listed on the website, but it wasn't working for me at all. So if you happen to know,
If you're from LA and you know when street cleaning is
more specifically up there,
On.
Bluebird Avenue,
and Doheny,
if you know what day.
1406 Bluebird, and if you're aware of when the street cleaner goes there, we'd be very interested in knowing that to help
I'll bet
figure
it's
out
right
this
around
puzzle.
the same time the tickets were placed. I bet you.
And another thing is I didn't get around to checking the weather, but I was interested in checking the weather for that time frame in LA, whether there had been any rain, because I know it's not really the rainy season, but was there any rain? Because looking at the footage of that Tesla being towed, it has a very thick film of dust
Very
and dirt on
dirty.
it, but it also had those telltale dimples that show that there had been sprinkles of water on it, and I don't know whether that comes from a sprinkler. I didn't really see anything that would have been getting a sprinkler treatment where that Tesla was parked, so I'm assuming it's raindrops, and I thought that might also give more of a time frame.
They say you look like a modern day Roseanne Barr.
Oh, she's kind of cute now. She's lost weight, and she's a hands-on grandma now. I've seen some of her posts, so I'm not offended by that at all. Man, it's completely okay.
What was it?
Same as like yesterday when people were saying that I looked like a goblin from Clash of Clans, but a specific goblin, and then I went and looked, and that goblin's kind of cute. So
Another LA tow yard. What they burned that body. Oh my
well, we'll have to be checking in to that, and wow. Yeah, we'll look into that. Make a note of that.
We should talk about classic true crime now.
Yeah.
$5 super chat.
Oh yeah, that's something else that
On demand.
my
True
mister
crime.
thought up was that for a $5 super chat, and and in the chat just state the case that you want us to look into, and for $5 we'll do an on-demand deep dive into whatever case you're interested in. So anyway, now we'll just go get into
No children.
no crimes against children. Our channel kind of gets in trouble because we do cover those because they do unfortunately happen and they do cross our radar and we get interested in it. Like the first case that we covered on this channel was the Gannon Stout case, a very sweet 11-year-old boy who turned out to get murdered by his stepmother. Anyhow, classic true crime now. We covered this one a while back and actually did a full-on like story thing on it. And this is Tyler Hadley. And Tyler Hadley, oh yeah, we love the band Skinned, by the way, and they do this really cool video for the song. Anyhow, Tyler Hadley. He was a teenager in Florida, Port St. Lucie, Florida, which is a town that doesn't have a lot going on for teenagers, or at least it didn't at the time. It was more of a retirement community. And this would be the murders of Blake and Mary Jo Hadley, who are Tyler's parents. And Tyler was kind of a troubled kid. He had been tiny, premature when he was born, and so his mom kind of doted on him, and it in some ways it might have been a bit much, but she worried about Tyler so much that she had him start with medications when he was quite young, and by the time he was 10, he was on like Ritalin and antidepressants and growth hormones and all this stuff, so he kind of was a bundle of trouble. And then, as a teenager, he was more withdrawn and he was like distant emotionally from everyone. He didn't have the connections that he ought to have. And even though he was the younger of two kids and was very doted on by his parents, and he didn't...
That's me!
Why'd you do that?
Because we did that.
We are real. We are not robots or anything like that. We make real mistakes. Anyhow.
I dropped my little camera.
So, Tyler wanted to become famous or infamous. He wanted something exciting to happen. He wanted to make something exciting happen. He wanted a spectacular party with a twist that hadn't been done before. He wanted to have a house party with his deceased parents inside. Thing is, his parents weren't deceased yet. So, according to Tyler, he also was having thoughts of taking himself out, and so he claims that his idea for the party would be to take his parents out and throw the party, and then as a parting shot, take himself out after the party was over, and the party done. But here's how it went down. First off, Tyler talked to people for a while about wanting to have this sort of party, and people just didn't listen to him. Oh, Tyler's just being weird. And Tyler told people that he would give them his car if they would take out his mom and stuff like that, and everybody thought Tyler's joking. So then, on the evening of July 16th, 2011, Tyler took like 3 hits of ecstasy, and then he grabbed a hammer that he had stashed, and he walked over to the computer table where his mom was doing the family bills. Yeah, his mother, Mary Jo, was doing the family bills and stuff. And he walked up behind her, and he claims that he stood there for quite some time. I don't know if it really was as many minutes as he brags that it was, or if it was just a few seconds. But he stood there staring at his mom, contemplating whether to do it or not. And then she turned around and looked at him, and he crashed the hammer down on her. And she said, "Why?" And he just kept on going until she was deceased. Meanwhile, his father had been napping in their bedroom, and he heard some sort of commotion, so he walked out into the area where Tyler and Mary Jo were. And as he entered the room and he spotted his wife and a puddle of blood on the floor, Tyler holding a bloody hammer in his hand, Blake asked Tyler why. And Tyler ran at him and jumped and bashed him in the head with the hammer. And he said, "Why not?" And then he kept bashing him and said, "Why the fuck not?" And then once his dad was dead, Tyler claims to have gone into the bathroom
Oh, we're a dark
and,
bunch.
and stared at himself for a while, and like making faces at himself. And he told investigators later, after he'd been arrested, that he didn't think he looked like him, and that it was just kind of weird. He thought he was possessed or something, but he was high. Anyhow, then Tyler put out Facebook messages saying party at his place and when to show up. And then he set off cleaning. He only had a couple hours before people were going to start showing up at the party. And so he dragged his parents into the master bedroom, and he put them together on the floor near the bed, and he placed the hammer between them. And then he started placing things on top of them, perhaps to try to shield himself from what he had done.
He placed all the furniture,
And
mattresses, everything he could find.
photos, family photos, everything from around the house, not just stuff that had been covered in blood, but also just anything that was a reminder of the family as a unit. And he piled all of that on top of his parents, shielding them from view, but not completely. Blake's leg was sticking out, kind of, and could be seen from, I guess, the patio door of the bedroom, because there was the master bedroom door that opened up into the house, and also a patio door that opened up into the backyard. So then Tyler locked the door to his parents' room, and he went and cleaned himself up, and then he started greeting his guests like no big deal, no problem.
60 people.
And like 60 people showed up, and they were partying. They were playing beer pong in the same room
Oh,
where Mary Jo had lost her life. And a few times the ball bounced off the table, hit the floor, and people picked up the ball when it had sticky substance on it, and they just wiped it off on their clothing and continued playing beer pong. And it was actually landing in blood that Tyler had not gotten to clean up. Anyhow, people partying in the house, not really knowing what was going on. One stoner skater dude in there went around and said, "You know what? It smells like death in here." And some people laughed it off, and other people were like, "Oh, Tyler said he was going to kill his parents." And then Tyler did speak to a few different people, like when he went on a beer run with a group of people, because they were running out of beer, and
he used the parents' credit card.
He used his parents'
Yeah.
credit card. He used his parents' money to buy the beer to fund the party. And he told the girl that was with him that his parents were dead, or that his dad was dead. And she thought that it happened some time ago because of how cold he was and everything. She's like, "Oh, okay." Because he said, "Oh, I inherited the house." And he told some people that his parents were away, but he told other people that he inherited the house. At first during the party, he told people, "Oh, don't do that, don't mess that up," and then he went, "Wait, but never mind, it's okay, do whatever." And he did get really mad at some people that damaged a neighbor's mailbox, and he said, "Fix that," because that's where he drew the line. You don't mess up the neighbor's stuff. Anyway, so the party was huge, and at one point, he took his best friend aside and told his best friend that he had taken the lives of his parents, and his best friend did not believe him. And he told his best friend, "Look around, you'll see the signs." And he took, and then his best friend started looking around, and he noticed blood stains, and Tyler took him to the garage where he noticed other blood stains and signs of cleaning up, like a bloody mop and stuff like that. And then Tyler took him and opened the bedroom door, and he saw Blake's leg, and he was just like, holy crap. Meanwhile, also some other curious kids that tried to get into the parents' bedroom from the yard and had also noticed something suspicious underneath the debris in the parents' bedroom. So the party kind of ended. The best friend took a selfie with Tyler, which is really dark, and when you look at the selfie, it just, you could see the emotion in the guy who was taking the picture, because he was realizing that this was the last time he was going to take a picture of his best friend, because he knew what he was going to have to do when he got away from that house. And so when he got away from the house, he called police and reported that Tyler had murdered his parents. And
hit that like button if you like these true crime recaps. We've covered this story in full detail on our channel.
yes, and so the police did come over to the house, and Tyler tried to keep them from going inside. Prior to police arriving, prior to his best friend leaving the house, I forgot to tell you that Tyler had told his best friend that when the party was over, he was going to take his own life, and said that he had 10 pills set aside so that he could do that. And he told his friend where he had put the pills. His friend went and grabbed those pills before he left the house, before he called police. Anyway, then Tyler stood trial. The remainder of his family was devastated and were saying that they wanted nothing to do with him, and that, you know, if he was ever let out, they were not going to support him, and he was not going to be allowed to stay with them. Anyway, Tyler got 2 consecutive life sentences. And then at first it was without the possibility of parole, but then there were some objections to, like, his age and the influence that the various medications might have had on him, and eventually it was determined that he would have, with the possibility of parole, but he has not gotten out. There was, I believe it was on Netflix that we watched, where there was an interview with Tyler Hadley, you know, now as an adult, and I think that he's not really remorseful yet. He seems to be maybe on the way to understanding that what he did was wrong, and that he needs to take responsibility. But I think partially he was kind of giving the interviewers what he thought they wanted, and he was saying that he felt that he shouldn't be let out. But also the way he was saying it, I think that he was trying to sound like he was super remorseful and super taking responsibility for what he did in order to get out. Anyway, Tyler is currently still in prison in Florida.
Gulf Correctional Institution.
Yeah, Gulf Correctional Institution. And
there he sits.
oh, and the Hadley home has now been demolished, so it won't become any kind of, like, party shrine or anything like that. And so that was the story of Tyler Hadley. If you are interested in it, there are plenty of other outlets, but I would definitely say watch the skinned video for Tyler Hadley, and also check our channel for our story videos, and you can check out the story we did, which is more than us just talking.
Let me give him another one. Hit that like you want another story. Port St. Lucie.
Yep, Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Yeah. Fucking dude. Stories that you want to do. Let's do this one.
Which one do you want to do now?
We have all night, right?
He always surprises me. I never know what he's going to say.
It's
or
been
do.
on the channel.
Okay, at least it's something we've done before.
Boom.
Sarah Boone.
Another
Boom.
Florida story.
That's another Florida story, and this time our perpetrator is a woman, and it proves that women can be just as spiteful and just as ugly and just as mean as men, and that substance abuse is no laughing matter. Sarah Boone has been sentenced to life in prison in December 2024 for the 2020 murder of her boyfriend, George Torres Jr. It's spelled Jorge, but George pronounced it George, so I'm just going to call him George.
Yes.
I do know that Jorge is Jorge. Anyhow, George and Sarah have been together for a few years. Actually, they've been together about 2 years before her divorce. Sarah was a drinking woman, a party woman, and that did not work well with her relationship with her husband, who was very responsible and I might say from watching his interviews with police and such that maybe a bit codependent. He was very much the fixer and just something that you would definitely see at an Al-Anon meeting and stuff where they're trying to heal from the damage that the alcoholic has done to them. Anyway, he was the primary parent for their son, and Sarah was not always good about visitation or anything like that. And he knew that she had this tumultuous relationship with George, that she and George would drink and they would get into fights, and she gave as well as she got. It was kind of ugly, if you know what I mean. And she often would leave George at the apartment, which, by the way, was paid for by her ex-husband. And sometimes she would call her ex-husband to pick her up, and she would stay with him because she was having problems with George. And police were involved in these fights. They knew Sarah and George quite well. Anyway, one night, Sarah and George had been drinking together, and according to Sarah, they played a game of hide and seek, which wasn't like any game of hide and seek I ever heard of, because it's just two people.
Yeah, they were drinking wine.
And she said they were drinking wine, and they were just having a great night together. That they did some painting together, and then they started playing games, and then they played hide and seek. Mm-hmm. And according to Sarah, George decided to hide in a suitcase, and then she got tired, and she went upstairs to bed. And she went to bed, and then when she woke up late in the morning, she was like, "Where's George?" And she went to go look for George, and then she found out that he was deceased in the suitcase. And so she called her ex-husband and told him about this, and then eventually she called police and kept telling everybody that it was not on purpose, it was an accident, that she did not know that he was still in the suitcase, etc. And when she went into the police station and they were questioning her, lo and behold, they downloaded the information in her phone, and there were two videos taken several minutes apart from each other, and they were both sort of lengthy videos. Well, one was 3 minutes long, but they're lengthy for
poor George
what they.
He's inside the suitcase. I can't breathe.
Yeah. George was inside the suitcase, and he's calling out, "Sarah, Sarah, I can't breathe." And Sarah's going, "That's on you, and that's what it feels like when you cheat on me," and stuff like that. And she's like laughing at him and saying, "Fuck you," and stuff like that while he's in the suitcase. And we notice from one video to the other that the suitcase has been moved, and it's very telling evidence. And when she was faced with that evidence, she was once again saying, "Not on purpose," and so she then went a long time before she actually went to trial, because Sarah fired like 8 attorneys and wanted to represent herself, and then was represented by an attorney, and finally she got sentenced to life in prison. My heart goes out to George's family and his kids. Well, yeah, he leaves behind kids. And, and I also feel very bad for Sarah's son and her ex-husband. This was all a very horrible case, and Sarah just is a classic case of being narcissistic. I mean, she felt that like she was the shit, and that nothing was going to stick. She thought she was Teflon, and she thought that as long as she put a spin on it, and as long as she babbled enough about it and talked about how it wasn't on purpose, that she was going to get away with murder. But she did not. It
almost seems like an involuntary thing. She just put him in there and went night-night upstairs, and
almost.
She thought he could have got out of that little suitcase.
Almost. It almost seems like that until you notice in the footage that he can't get out of that case, and there's no way to really open up the case, and his autopsy showed that he had been physically assaulted, and testimony of the next door neighbor that fits in with the time frame of the suitcase situation was that, and Sarah herself mentioned the suitcase had been upstairs in the bedroom when George decided to hide in it, but the suitcase videos were done at the base of the stairs in a living room area, and the next door neighbors mentioned hearing loud sounds like something tumbling down the stairs. And so Sarah, through one way or another, it became known that Sarah, after George had been in the suitcase, tossed George down the stairs in the suitcase. George was very beat up, and then of course she kicked the suitcase around in the living room.
Out at trial.
They brought the suitcase out at trial.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, and so it was very obviously a homicide.
Dude. There's your classic true crime. That's 2 stories.
And yeah, we have at least one Sarah Boone video on our channel. We probably have a few, but we do have a story Sarah Boone on our channel.
Full production, B-roll, sound effects.
Yeah, the kind of stuff.
Recording of George.
That in the winter, when we are kind of snowed in and bored and can't go doing our regular stuff outside, we will probably do more high production videos as well as doing lives.
These are transition videos as we move from one studio, we set up a new studio, and we're just gonna do these. Just trying
to make it work, and obviously we are going to continue doing lives because this is working out really well. We enjoy talking to you.
That's another one. Oh, don't start coughing again. Oh, you poor creature. I'm really working on that Canadian pig farmer story, or the Oregon pig farmer lady, who's not really a lady at all. He's a man. Oh my God.
Anyway, we do have the Oregon pig farmer on our channel. We don't have Picton on there yet.
No, we haven't done Picton yet.
And we have covered some other things that we've done in full production videos on.
What about the coal miner guy?
Brad the coal miner?
Yeah.
That should kind of be like a classic because it's kind of
Brad the coal miner,
it kind of reflects on the times now too. And I'm not really going to touch on politics, but there seems to be a lot of intolerance and a lot of fear surrounding.
Do we need to get some more mods in here with
people
all the
on-
trolls? I mean, seriously.
People on the rainbow,
The rainbow, is that what we're going to
the
call them?
LGBTQ, and anyhow, Brad the coal miner. Brad was out and proud and very secure in who he was. He actually was a very manly man.
This was a
but
horrible story.
he was definitely gay, and no apologies about that. And he was a popular guy at the mine where he worked.
Brad
the coal mine.
McGarry is his name.
Brad McGarry, and he had no enemies, and he had a best friend who was like Brad was godfather to this guy's kids. He was a really good friend. He got along well with the wife of his buddy and all that. And then
Brad McGarry was the foreman. He was the man in charge of this coal mine.
yeah,
on
he
his
was
shift. So he was in a supervisory position.
And anyway, one day, his best friend and his best friend's wife and their child went to Brad's home to return, I forgot if it was a lawnmower or a weed whacker, but, something that this buddy had borrowed and said, oh, let's go over to Brad's and return this. And so they went over there, and he let the kid be the first one in the house. And then they walk along, and then they find Brad deceased in his basement. He had been pew-pewed in the head. And, a horrible scene. There's public video of the wife calling 911 and crying and saying, my friend is dead and stuff like that. And the police come up, and the devastated family is talking to them about the death of Brad. And then the truth comes out. The best friend had been having an affair with Brad for years, and Brad was tired of it being a secret and was suggesting that his friend come out of the closet and that they move on with their relationship together. And the friend was terrified, did not want himself to be outed.
He was a family man with a wife and a child. He was no.
And so he went to Brad's house and he unalived Brad and then brought his wife and his child back to discover Brad. Really sick guy. And I have not said his name in this because I just think that Brad McGarry is the one we need to remember. But if you go look at my story of Brad the coal miner, you will learn more details and the name of this so-called best friend. And
another horrible story. That's all we cover here. Murder, death.
Which is how come we're going to try to add in some lighter stuff. Like when we're bringing you the darkness, we'll probably show you things like we really need to renovate this RV. So we'll probably bring you some of that and maybe some of our hobbies. And of course, some of the places that we camp, maybe some campfire talk, making s'mores, roasting weenies over the campfire, stuff like that. And good warm toasty stuff in the fall and in the winter, maybe some more of our arts and crafts and more of our full production videos and just sharing more of our lives with you as we get to know you better, and also, of course, bringing you the horrible stories and the stories in the news today. For example, that I couldn't do a full video about it because Google and YouTube were unhappy, but our hearts go out to all the people at the LDS Church in Michigan and the family of the perpetrator.
He was married as well and had
Yeah,
a child.
He was married and had a child, and his wife
What
and
is
child
wrong with
are
people
probably
today?
devastated. And it's just horrible how violence is. I mean, it's never the answer, and especially when it appears that
Look
it
what
might
I got.
have political
Look what I got.
tinges. Oh, who do you got there?
I've got a kitty. Just sleeping down there.
Aw. Yeah, we got our kitty friends, and they're really helpful at night because they snuggle us and help keep us warm. And so far, we haven't had to fire up the furnace. And
It's cold up here in the Rocky Mountains, guys.
yeah, so far we haven't we haven't had to have the furnace on yet. We've got the kitties and the puppies to keep us warm.
Yeah,
And,
church is supposed to be a safe spot.
Yeah,
see
that's
those
why they
poor-
call them sanctuaries.
See, I want to talk about it. We want to talk about it, but shh,
What if
we're not
Yeah.
supposed to talk about Michigan.
Yeah,
So
and guess what? I have one too.
you have the mean kitty. That's
Yeah.
mean kitty.
I have the mean one.
That one's likely to scratch you.
The mean
Yeah.
one loves me.
You don't like me at all.
Yes. So anyway, I guess we'll call it a night since
Hit that like button.
since
For
our
sure.
since our young man seems to have brought some company over.
We are looking to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, anyhow.
Yeah, we got a couple months left in this year, and we want to hit 10,000 subs by the end of this year.
So that's
That's
only,
a goal.
I don't have too many to go. About 1,090.
Yeah. So
Uh,
we'll see if it can happen. See you guys tomorrow, because like I said, we're going to do lives
Let us
every
know
day.
if you have anything that's current you want to know, and if anything changes in the d4vd,
We'll bring it to
If
you.
anything happens in that breaking news, we'll let you know on that. Anything else, my dear?
Nope, I guess that's it. And
My dear.
we're probably going to have to feed some young men. So, talk to you later. See you tomorrow.
Good night. Well, yes, I do.